Hey everyone, welcome back and thank you so much for being here for another episode. And today, this series is related to IELTS speaking grammar. And for me, recently I have been preparing for my IELTS exam, and you know that I am non-native English speaker, and the speaking part and the writing also is the most complicated part in the IELTS exam. So that's why I created this series. The reason for that is I need to brush up your memory on the English tenses, and also this not like a grammar for writing, because a grammar in writing is different than in speaking. So I am focused here in the grammar related to the speaking part. So we're not gonna do this in the traditional school way. Rather, we'll take more comparative approach. So what I mean is we're going to look at the tenses in pairs. All right, and that's why I mentioned at the first that this grammar series is related to speaking, not to the writing, because we're going to take the present simple and the present continuous together and learn them together, and also the past simple and the present perfect. We're gonna learn them together. So it's kind of creative way, and this is going to help you to understand how to combine your ideas and how to communicate your ideas to your listener, to send your ideas to a listener or to create a conversation. Now, before we go in depth into what we have in this lesson, I just wanted to say something briefly about fluency. And I know that what I'm about to tell you now, okay, what I'm gonna share with you is something you can incorporate in any form of language, any foreign language, not only for English. So a lot of people have this misconception about what fluency is, and this misconception, this wrong information is that for you is most people think that to be fluent in any foreign language you have to know grammar perfectly. So I want to say that you need to know, okay, it's good to know grammar, and it's also useful for you to know how to structure sentence well and when to use every tense and so on. But to be honest with you, being fluent, it's not only related to the English grammar or the grammar. For example, now being fluent basically means that you are very good at sending any idea effortless. You talk like you talked your first language intuitively without any effort. It's effortless speech, okay? Knowing grammar is not enough to make effortless speech. So it's okay, we know that. And it's very important to incorporate it with something, okay? Because knowing grammar, you need to incorporate it with lots of ideas, how to speak about any topic, how to explain your ideas, create a discussion. All of that grammar will not help you, but you also need a grammar. It's, for me, grammar is a foundation. It's a solid foundation, okay? So I designed these series just for who are struggle with English grammar when it comes to speaking. And it's very important for you guys that you incorporate consistent practice. It's really, really important to you for good and for to perform well when you try to speak. And you add the system to practice. You need to create a system to practice. And if you notice my talk, I said consistent. If you don't do it, that I'm not promise you that you will see any progress, because language is not an easy thing or an easy skill to adjust yourself. You need to create consistent plan, consistent strategy to perform better. Now let's move on and dive in about this slide that you are seeing in front of the screen. So we're going to talk about English tenses, and as I said, I'm gonna teach you some technique. I use it, and also I'm gonna incorporate each tenses together. This is gonna help you to send your idea and know when you do this and when you use this tense. So first, let's begin looking at which tense you should use. So when you get a question, okay, let me change the slide for you now. For example, this. Okay. So when you get a question, okay, I need you to focus in my talk and leave the slide leave the slide for just a moment, and we're gonna read it together. So first, let's begin explain this nice very slide. So in the speaking question, also the speaking part in the IELTS exam, the easiest thing that you can do to know which tense you should use is to pay attention to the grammar in the question, and then simply start by answering using the same grammar. So for example, if the question in the present tense, okay, as you can see here, now then an easy way to start your answer is to begin in the present simple tense. So let me show you an example. Let's read the first example here we have. So we have here a question in the present tense. Do you enjoy your work? So here someone asks you in the present simple. Now your answer use the same tense that the questions was about. So you might say, yes, I do, or no, I don't. It depends on you. But the idea here, you are using the same grammar that in the question, and we are using the same grammar in our answers. Okay, let's move on to the next example here we have. So this example, this case, we're using the past simple. This example, the past simple. So let's read this question. What was your first day like at work? What was your first day like at work? So here we have a question in the past simple, and your answer use the same tense. As you can see here, it was beautiful, it was terrible. It's depending on whatever you want to say, but the idea here also, you can do whatever you can say, but just know the idea. Our question here in the present simple, so here I also use the same in my answer, the same tense. Let's move on to the next question here. So have you ever been to an art gallery? So here we are using the present perfect. So of course your answer is going to be related to the present perfect, which is I have never been to an art gallery before, or I have visited art gallery before. Whatever you want to say, but here the same grammar, and don't forget, because This is very important for you. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And here we have if conditional, and I have a lot to say about if conditional, but for now let's keep it simple and let's focus on the question and answers. And later on I'm gonna create for you in the future a whole episode about the conditional, right? So here we have this question here. Let's read it. If you had the chance, would you change your job? So this is if conditional, and of course we're gonna use the same, our answer yes I would or no I wouldn't, and continue your answer as you like. So this technique I just teach it you is related to, or taught you, is related to an easy way to start off your answers. If someone asked you and you are confused and you don't know which tense to use, this is an easy way. Let's move on to another stage here. So imagine this scenario. There may be sometimes when you may have to change the tenses, okay? And once you start speaking your answer, and once you have start your answer, you need to use grammar structure, but you're gonna struggle to use the same tense. So you need to change your tenses. So right here we are talking about we need to expanding upon our more using of tenses. So by using a variety of different tenses, you can show up to the examiner, to the listener, your grammatical range. So this scenario is related to another technique that I'm gonna share it with you right now, and I need you to focus on this scenario because it's called time traveler, and I'm gonna show you here in the slide. And here we have the time traveler. So what I means is when you are describing something happens at a different point in time. So here is an example, okay? I'm gonna show you an example here. And this question we have you ever traveled outside your country? Have you ever traveled outside of your country? So here we have the present perfect. Okay, we have present perfect. And so based on what I told you in the first part of the episode, that we're gonna need to use the same tense that the same questions related. So you may say this answer. Let's focus in the first sentence we have here. Yes, I've been to a few different nations, and full stop here. So the first sentence here we have is related to the present perfect. And then we move on to use the past simple. As you can see here, the last time I was abroad was 4 years ago. As you can see here, we change the tense. We change it from the present perfect to the past simple. And then we continue our sentence as so. When I had to travel to Germany to meet my distant relatives. And then we are going to change to the past continuous. They were living in Berlin at the time, and we went sightseeing together to explore the local culture and landscapes, which I found to be very fascinating. So here we used 3 sentences, okay, and these tenses we use it is the present perfect, past simple, past continuous, and you can see it here. So as you can see in this, before I move on to this slide here, 1 second. So here, as you can see, we have in this green color, the present perfect, the orange color, past simple, and purple color, past continuous. And also you can use the same technique, time traveler, in the future or in the past and present. Okay, but you need to be aware of this technique also. Let's move on to the next slide we have here. So when to not change tense, and this is the third technique I have it for you. So this example is gonna help you to understand when to not change the tense. For example, during the lecture, Jane stood up and drops her phone. Okay, so we have here stood up, this is past simple, and drops, the present tense. So why this sentence is incorrect? So what do you think? Why this sentence is incorrect? Because we use here two tenses, the past tense and the present tense. But you need to know that this is wrong. This is wrong. So why this is wrong? Because the time of each action is the same. Okay? Each action happened at the same time. We have to use the same tense. So as you can see here, in this example, during the lecture, Jen stood up and dropped her phone. Here we use the same tense, and also if in case this is in the present, so we use the present in the same tense, the same sentence. But here the first sentence here we have it wrong, because the same action, it's happened at the same time, so you can't actually change any tense. Okay, you can't change any tense. So you need to be aware of that. So please pay attention to the timing of the actions within the sentence to create more meaningful grammar. It's not about how you can create good sentence and the tenses you can use. You have a variety of tenses. I can use whatever I want. No, this is not. So I hope you understand that this is important to creating a meaning grammar. Not to use all the grammar rules. You need to know the meaning behind each grammar. And this is where you create concise structure sentence. Okay, so you need to be aware of that. Again, these two sentences, we use the same tense because the action that happen with each sentence here at the same time, there is no different to change the tense. Let's move on to the next slide here. So let's move to the next slide we have, and here an amazing example that explain to you when to change the tense in two sentences followed with each other, and to use different tense. So here we have the timing of the action, as I said, is what we decide when to use to change the tense, or when you are not gonna change the tense. So here we have the first example here. When Jane comes here, we will go to the movies. So as you can see here, we have when Jane comes here. This is the first action, and followed by this sentence here, we will go to see the movie. So as it's explained to you here on the slide, that this is the second action, and both of these sentence we are using the future tense. So we are not here gonna to use a different. We will use here when it comes here, and here we add will. So this is correct. Let's move on to the next example we have here. Sam reached for the apple after he had already eaten 2 oranges. So this sentence, you need to be aware of this connector between each sentence, which is after. Okay, so after is a frequency word. You need to know the action happened after. This is the first action, and the action happened before after. This is the second action. So here we have the first action after this frequency word. We have the past sample, and also the second action, the same past. So this is kind of more examples to explain the idea of when to change the tense and when you are not allowed to change each tense. So let's move on to the next slide we have here. Now we have this amazing table. It's contain all the present tenses we have here. So we're gonna start in this episode combine between the present sample and the present continuous. And the next is going to be related to the past simple and the present perfect. Okay, and also I'm gonna combine between the present perfect and the present perfect continuous, and so on, and you got the idea. So I have here like the rule, and then I'm gonna give you more examples for more practice. So I assume you already have an idea about how the present simple is structured, but let's fresh your memory about the present tense. So as you can see here, we use the present simple for show repetition, habit, or general idea. And we have here the timeline mean now at the right moment, and we have the structure of the rule. We have the subject and verb and the object, and for she and he and it we add s to the verb. I'm gonna move to another slide I have here for you. This is have more examples of using the present tense and the present continuous, but let's see more examples and more advanced, more function to the present tense. So as you can see here inside this slide here, I have here for you the first and the rule, and also we have some examples, and each examples describe when we used and the usage of the present simple. So as you can see, we use it to describe, and I mentioned that, daily routine, habits, or state, and also rules, facts, general idea. Also we use it to describe an instruction, and this is also you must consider. So in this example, we have the first example here. Rebecca goes to her dentist thrive for, this is mean 3 times a year. So here we are described by routine. Rebecca is used to go, is you always go to the dentist. Okay, so here we describe Rebecca routine. Also the second in a sentence here we have the Aikens travel to their country house every weekend, and this is mean a habit. So here we, as you can see, travel is a verb, the main verb here, and we use it in the present because this is a habit. And you need to know there is a most important rule here. Okay, it might for you seems to be very clear, or you already know this is an easy, but sometimes we have mistakes related to using of present simple or the present continuous. So let me clear for you something. we need to know that there is something called stative verbs and also actions or dynamic verbs. And the stative verb express a state, okay? And we use the present simple with the stative verb, okay? But we can't use the present continuous with the stative verb. And this is what I'm gonna tell you right now. So for example, we have this sentence here: the earth revolves around the sun. And that's a fact, okay? We use it for that. But I'm gonna give you also a lot of example related to the stative verb to really have an understand of that. Let's move on to this slide and to read from this column the present continuous. We have here our timeline, and we are right now here and move forward. So this is an action is happening right now in the right moment. And also we use the subject plus am is are or and plus the verb with gerund and the object. So here I write for you more examples about the using of the present continuous here. Just gonna come back again to read this line and then move forward. So as you can see here, we have the present continuous, things that happening now at the precise moment. And the precise moment, this keyword means right now. Let's move on. So here we have more explain about the things are happening now at the precise moment, and this keyword, the precise moment. So let's read some examples here we have, and you can know when we use a present continuous, because I notice some people is using the present continuous a lot during their talk, and this is wrong. Because sometimes you do something or routine or a habit, you don't need to use the present continuous. You don't need to add gerund to the verb, to the main verb, okay? But we use the present simple. So here we are watching and listening to me right now. I'm recording this video right now, okay? And the second one, the world is dealing with the pandemic. And this means that right now, okay? But this is not right now, by the way. And you can see here, doctors are working tirelessly on a vaccine against the virus. So these examples mean at the precise moment they are working to find a vaccine, okay? Now let's describe a temporary situation happening around now. You need to know the precise moment. This is mean a temporary situation. So for here we have Katia is watching a TV show about doctors in Africa. So this is not necessarily means that Katia is watching TV right now, but this is what she's doing. She's always do that, okay? And also maybe I'm gonna say to you these examples. I'm watching Netflix series about entrepreneur now. So I'm not doing this right now in this precise moment, but I will do it, okay? Let's move on to part 2. Now in these examples we combine the present simple and the present continuous. So let's begin with the states using the present simple and to describe a state. And you need to know that the present simple describes a state. So we use a stative verb. So you're gonna ask me, what is a stative verb? Some of stative verb can be used in the present continuous, And this is yes. Sometimes people say have, having. This is correct to emphasize the situation in the temporary time or period of time. So I'm gonna give you an overview. What does it mean, stative verb? So stative verb or state verb, they express a state rather than an action, and they are often related to things like thoughts, opinions, sense, feeling, emotions, possession, and so on. So stative verb is related to a state, it's not related to an actions. Okay, so you will get used to know it. Okay, you don't need to memorize it, but you need to know the most important thing, that you need to understand and memorize the stative verb or the state verbs is used by the present simple and past simple, present perfect and past perfect simple, and the future simple. But you can't use the stative verb with the continuous, whether it's present or past or future. Okay, so there is some rules that you can use stative verbs in the continuous, as I told you. Okay, but you expect you see it, such as here, know, have, like, and measure. These are all examples of stative verb, and this is describe a state, but you can also use for an action, requires an action. Okay, so yeah, sometimes, for example, I might say I am measuring the window to fit the curtains. Okay, I'm measuring the window to fit the certain curtains. Or maybe I might say I have been and also the same rule is applied about see, watch, look, and so on. See, watch, and look. These verb you can use it in the gerund. Okay, so let's move on to this slide here. This is describe more about the stative verb, and as I told you here, we have the verb see. You can use it for see with your eyes, and also you can add in the dynamic as an action. I have been seeing my girlfriend. I am seeing a report tomorrow, or my tomorrow. Okay, you can also use have in the gerund. Okay, we are having dinner at the restaurant. And you can use also talking, the same. So this is small mistakes you might fall in, so I just wanted to mention, and here I have this nice schedule for you. And also this is more example about how to combine between the present simple and the present continuous. I'm gonna give you more explanation about the past simple usage. We have here something that is always true, and habit, situation, timetable, fix, and plan. This is for future usage. And also you can use it with when, until, after, as soon as. For example, this is things I didn't mention before, but you need to know it. When I get home, I will cook dinner. Until she studies harder, her marks will be low. So here, as you can see, I used when, until, after, as soon as. This is like a frequency word. And the first conditional here we have if conditional. If I finish this course, I will know everything about the present tense, and I hope that. So here we use a present plus will, or I will study English if I find a great teacher. Okay? And the zero conditional also. So the first and zero conditional, we use the present perfect. If it rains, the floor gets wet. If you heat water enough, it boils. Okay? And we have some exercise. I'm gonna send it for you. We have here the present continuous, and here things that are happening at the precise moment, and temporary situation, as I told you, temporary actions happening in the moment. And we have it here, the usage of to talk about annoying habit or repeated action, always, forever, constantly, and also defined future arrangement with a future time. And we have here some exercise. So here we have this slide I was searching for. It's a present continuous versus a present simple. So this is very nice thing to finish this video. So here we have both of these tenses here and how to combine between each one of them and differentiate also. So the present continuous, things which are happening at the moment. I am eating lunch, but here we have true, always true, the sun rises in the morning. We have here temporary situation or situation that are slowly changes. She's living in London while she study. Permanent situation. So temporary situation or permanent situation, maybe this is the same, but you need to know the situations that are slowly changes. But here true or few years. Okay. We have here temporary now, annoying habit. I'm drinking too much coffee. Habit or things we do regularly. Okay. And define the future plans. Also here we use it for timetable. Okay, and we have it here. I think we finish it. And this is like a caution to not forget about that some city verb you can't use it with the present continuous. So I hope you like this video. Give it thumbs up and see you next one.